My husband died on our wedding night, or so I thought. A year later, he appeared at my door, pale, smiling, asking why I hadn't waited for him. His hands were ice cold, his eyes too dark. "I came back for you," he murmured. "You promised forever." That night, he laid beside me, his breath like a winter wind. And in the morning, the grave outside my window was freshly unearthed. The beginning. We got married on a crisp October day in 2023. The leaves in Vermont were turning brilliant shades of red and gold, and everything felt perfect. Our ceremony was small, just close friends and family in a quaint chapel nestled in the woods. The reception was held at a rustic inn nearby, complete with fairy lights and a roaring fireplace. That night, after the festivities, we retired to our honeymoon suite. We laughed, reminisced about the day, and eventually fell asleep in each other's arms. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, feeling cold. I reached out, but his side of the bed was empty. I assumed he went to the bathroom. Minutes turned into hours. When dawn broke and he still hadn't returned, I started to worry. I checked the bathroom, the hallway, even outside. No sign of him. Panic set in. I called the police, and a search was initiated. Days turned into weeks, and there was no trace of him. No signs of foul play, no evidence he left voluntarily. It was as if he vanished into thin air. A year later I tried to move on. I went back to work, surrounded myself with friends and family, and even started therapy. But the hole he left was immense. Exactly 1 year later, on our anniversary, I was sitting alone in our living room, sipping tea and looking through our wedding album. A knock at the door startled me. I opened it to find him standing there. He looked off. Pale, almost translucent, with eyes that seemed darker than I remembered. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Why didn't you wait for me?" he asked. I was speechless. I reached out to touch him, and his skin was ice cold. "I came back for you," he whispered. "You promised forever." That night he came inside, and I, still in shock, let him. We sat in silence for a while. He didn't explain where he'd been or what happened. He just kept looking at me with those dark eyes. When night fell, he insisted on sleeping beside me. I was terrified but didn't know what else to do. As we lay there, I could feel his breath, cold, like a winter wind, against my neck. I barely slept. The morning after I woke up to find him gone. Relieved, I thought maybe it was a dream. But when I looked out the window, I saw something that made my blood run cold. In our backyard, there was a freshly unearthed grave. Ongoing. I don't know what's happening. I haven't told anyone, fearing they'd think I'm crazy. But I needed to share this somewhere. Has anyone experienced something similar? Any advice would be appreciated. I didn't go outside that morning. I couldn't. I just stared at the disturbed earth through the glass, frozen in place. My coffee had gone cold in my hands, but I didn't move. The grave wasn't there the night before. I was sure of it. The dirt was piled up in a loose mound, and something about the way it was dug, hasty, uneven, made it worse. It looked angry. I tried calling my sister. No answer. Then my best friend. Still nothing. I texted them both, just saying I needed to talk. I didn't dare mention what happened. Later that day, I got brave, or stupid, and went outside. I walked slowly toward the mound. My knees were shaking. I half expected to find a joke, a prank, anything other than what I did. I found a piece of fabric sticking out. White. Lacy. I recognized it immediately. It was part of my wedding veil. I dropped it and ran inside, locked every door, every window. I sat on the floor of my kitchen, trying not to hyperventilate. My husband had been dead. Pronounced missing, yes, but not a single trace of him had shown up for a full year. And now he comes back, lays next to me like nothing happened, and the next day, this? And then things got worse. That night, my phone rang at 2:13 a.m. I didn't recognize the number. I let it go to voicemail. But no voicemail came through. 5 minutes later, the same number called again. And again. By the fourth call, I picked up. Maybe out of panic. Maybe out of something else. I didn't say hello. All I heard on the other end was breathing. Not just normal breathing, it was ragged, like someone was struggling to breathe through water. And then, a whisper. "You left me down there." I hung up and threw the phone across the room. The next few days blurred. I stopped going to work. I didn't answer my door. I started seeing things out of the corner of my eye, reflections in mirrors that didn't match reality. My husband's face, pale and smiling, appearing in the bathroom mirror as I brushed my teeth. I'd spin around, and he wouldn't be there. Once, I saw muddy footprints leading from the back door to the foot of my bed. The door had been locked. I never heard it open. I tried to record myself sleeping, just in case. I set up my old iPhone on the nightstand, hit record, and let it run overnight. The next morning, I checked the footage. Around 3:12 a.m., the bedroom door creaked open. He walked in. Not calmly, he floated. His feet didn't touch the ground. His head tilted to the side too far, like his neck was broken. But his eyes were locked on mine. He leaned over the bed, so close I could see the frost on his lips. Then he whispered, "You promised. Forever." I drove 6 hours to my aunt's cabin in the Adirondacks. Left my phone behind. I just needed quiet. I didn't tell anyone where I went. I figured if I couldn't be found, maybe I could sleep. That first night, I heard knocking. 3 slow knocks on the front door. Then on the window. Then on the back door. I never saw who did it. I stayed there for 4 nights. Then I made the mistake of opening the door after sunset. He was standing there, same crooked neck, same smile. "I found you." I ran. Barefoot, into the woods, didn't care where. Just ran. I swear I could hear him behind me, calling out sweet things we used to say to each other. Stuff only we would know. Peaches, he called. That was his nickname for me. I kept running. Eventually, I passed out. I woke up in the morning, curled under a tree, shivering. But he was gone. When I got back to the cabin, the front door was wide open. Inside, on the bed, was the photo from our wedding. Torn down the middle. His side of the photo had been burned. Mine was intact. I went home a week later. I needed answers. I started digging into his past, anything I could find. I found an old laptop he had kept hidden. Inside, buried deep, was a folder labeled "Forever." It was filled with files, photos, videos, scanned documents. And a journal. The journal detailed strange dreams he'd had months before our wedding. In them, he spoke to someone, something, that lived underground. It promised him eternal love, but warned him that he must return to it after the union. He wrote, "I can't back out now." It promised she wouldn't suffer. It promised it would only take me. He believed it. He made a deal. Now, I see him everywhere. Every night, without fail, he returns. He doesn't try to hurt me. He just lies there, watches me sleep. Breathes on me like the dead of winter. Sometimes, he cries. Other times, he laughs. But never the way he used to. And every morning, the grave is a little deeper. I know one day soon, I'll wake up and find it open. And I'm scared I'll step inside it willingly. I couldn't live like that anymore. Each day, he came closer. Each night, the grave outside my window grew deeper. Once, I even saw something wriggling in the soil, like fingers, reaching up. I didn't know what to do. So I called a priest. He came from 3 towns over. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. That I thought my dead husband had come back, and I needed help. He looked tired. Like he'd heard stranger things. He brought holy water, a cross, and a Bible. He didn't say much, just looked around the house, touched the walls, muttered under his breath. That night, he stayed over. Slept in the living room. At 3:07 a.m., I heard screaming. I ran downstairs. The priest was floating in the air, his back arched, mouth wide open like he was choking. And in the corner of the room stood my husband, watching. His eyes glowed that time, black and glossy, like wet stone. I couldn't move. I just stood there as the priest's body dropped with a sick thud. His cross landed beside him, burned black. My husband turned to me, smiling wider than I've ever seen him smile before. His teeth looked too sharp. Too white. "You brought someone else into this," he said softly. "That wasn't very loyal." I buried the priest the next morning. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't call the cops. Who would believe me? No one ever does in stories like this. But something changed after that. My husband didn't leave anymore. He stayed. He followed me from room to room. He never touched me. But he spoke, constantly. "You promised. We were meant to grow old. I came back for you. Let's finish what we started." He started asking me to lie in the grave. Just to see what it felt like. "It's soft," he said. "Like memory foam. It'll hold you, forever." I thought about it more than I should have. One night, I caved. Just a little. Just to see. I climbed in. Laid down. The dirt was cold but, not awful. I felt something wrap around my ankle, gently. Like a hug. That scared me enough to scramble out. The next morning, there were handprints in the soil. Small ones. My size. I needed answers. I found a woman online. She ran a paranormal blog based in Salem, Massachusetts. Said she specialized in soul attachments. I didn't even blink. I drove 6 hours to meet her. Her name was Maura. Old, kind, had eyes that looked like she'd seen everything twice. She listened quietly. Didn't laugh. Didn't even flinch. Then she said something I didn't expect. "You were never supposed to marry him." I blinked. "Excuse me? He wasn't meant for you. He made a deal. Traded something he couldn't repay. The thing that gave him back to you, it doesn't want him anymore. It wants you." According to her, my husband's body was just a shell now. A shell filled with whatever dark promise he'd tied himself to. The more I stayed near him, the more I was becoming part of the deal. "You've got 2 choices," Maura said. "Run. Or send him back." "How do I send him back?" Her answer chilled me. "You have to trick him into laying in that grave. And then you bury him yourself." I came home ready to do it. I waited until a storm rolled in. Thunder shook the windows. He loved storms, said they reminded him of us, loud, messy, wild. I made him cocoa. Sat on the couch with him. Let him talk. I smiled when he said he missed the smell of my shampoo. I cried when he told me I still looked beautiful. "I missed being warm," he said. "It's cold where I was. Do you want to feel warm again?" I whispered. He nodded slowly. More than anything. I led him outside. Rain soaked us. The grave was still there, deeper than ever. "I want to hold you," I said. He stepped into the grave. Reached for me. That's when I shoved. Hard. He fell back. Screamed once. Not in pain, in betrayal. I didn't stop. I grabbed the shovel. I dug fast. Fast as I could. I covered his legs first, then his chest. He thrashed, howled, his eyes glowing. "You said forever," he shrieked. I kept going. "You said you'd never leave me." More dirt. His voice was turning ragged, wet, gurgling. Then, silence. I stood over the grave for what felt like hours. I was soaked, shivering, broken. But he was gone. For a while, everything went back to normal. The house felt lighter. Brighter. No footsteps. No whispers. I even started smiling again. Then, 3 nights ago, I was brushing my teeth, and the mirror fogged up. I wiped it clean. And there it was. A message, written in condensation. "You can't bury a promise." And behind me, just over my shoulder, a faint reflection. Pale. Smiling. Eyes too dark. I haven't slept since. I left the house that night with just a bag, my keys, and my wallet. I didn't even take shoes. I didn't know where I was going, just away. Away from him. Away from the grave. Away from everything that smelled like death and love twisted together. I drove until the gas light blinked. Then I kept driving. The tank ran out near a small town in Pennsylvania. I coasted into a gravel lot beside an old, boarded-up diner and slept in the back seat. I dreamed of dirt in my mouth. The next morning, I found a motel. Paid in cash. No ID. Just told the clerk I was passing through. The room was nothing special, stained carpet, humming mini fridge, yellow light buzzing overhead. That night, I locked the door, stuffed towels under the crack, unplugged the TV. Sat in the corner with a bat I found in the closet. I thought I was safe. But sometime after midnight, I smelled him. His cologne. The same one he wore on our wedding day. It drifted in like smoke under the door. Then the faucet in the bathroom turned on. Slowly. Then fully. I didn't move. The water ran for 5 minutes before I got the courage to check. When I did, the mirror above the sink was fogged again. This time the message said, "You promised." I ran to the front desk. The clerk stared at me blankly. "We don't have anyone checked into that room. Room 12's been closed for plumbing repairs." I grabbed my bag and left. I didn't know where else to go. So I went home. Yeah, I know. Stupid. But sometimes you go back to the monster because you know it. You know its name. You know its face. The grave was still there. Even deeper than before. Like a well now. No bottom. I stood at the edge and yelled into it. "What do you want from me?" No answer. Just wind. Then I felt breath on my neck. He was behind me. "Just you," he whispered. I turned, and he looked different. His face was melting, half of it gone. Teeth exposed, bones showing through. One eye black and dripping something thick and dark. But he was still smiling. Still wearing the wedding ring. He reached out, touched my cheek. His hand burned cold. "I kept my promise," he said. Then he took out a small box. It was my engagement ring. The one I buried with him. I came back for the rest of it. I ran. But I didn't make it far. The ground gave out beneath me, right where the grave was. I fell hard. Dirt filled my mouth, my ears. I clawed upward, but hands, dozens of them, wrapped around my legs. Around my arms. Small hands. Women's hands. Men's hands. All pale and freezing. And him. He climbed down after me, slow and calm. "You're not the first, you know," he said, voice echoing around me. "I always promise forever. They always believe me." I screamed, but the soil swallowed the sound. Then, light. A blinding white light exploded above me. And a voice. Mora's voice. "Say his name." I didn't understand. "Say it," she screamed again. Louder, clearer. His name. His real name. The one he never let anyone use. The one I only saw once, on a legal form. I said it. Once. Twice. 3 times. And he screamed. The hands let go. He clawed at his ears. His body shook, twisted, cracked like glass. Black smoke poured out of his eyes, his mouth. Then, he was gone. Just like that. I woke up in the yard. The grave was gone. Just grass. Untouched. Like nothing ever happened. Mora was sitting on the porch. She smiled when I opened my eyes. "You did it," she said. "You broke the pact." I cried. I couldn't stop. That was 6 months ago. I moved across the country. Changed my name. No more wedding photos. No more rings. I still dream of him, sometimes. But it's different now. He stands outside the grave, staring up at me. Smiling. Waiting. I don't look too long. I know he's not really gone. Because some promises don't die. They wait.